I think it was around 2018 that I made a video that said Republicans are too stupid to deal with the problem of social media censorship, and it would end badly for them. And I was correct. It's now 2.5 or so years later. The Republicans are reeling because they have no base of support as users who do support Republicans are eroding off of these big tech platforms, and too bad. But I got to tell you something. I'm also angry with Donald Trump. Donald Trump had and still has every single opportunity to sign up for Parler, Gab, or Minds, or even BitChute. Any one of these platforms. I say BitChute because it's a video platform. He could put out videos. He doesn't do it. If he did, it would cause a massive migration by many people, forcing competition on these big tech companies, shattering the oligopoly and the monopoly, not destroying it, but causing damage at the very least. And Trump will not do it. And here's today's news. Trump wants back on Facebook and Instagram. Appeals suspension to Facebook Oversight Board. I'm sorry, man. After all of these years, Trump still has not figured out to use something different? He doesn't care, or he's too stupid, to be completely honest. It was a couple of years ago, I think it was a couple of years now, maybe a year and a half ago, that I went to the White House, invited to the social media summit being held by Trump and Republicans. Well, mostly the Trump administration. In that meeting of all of these prominent individuals listening to Trump do his bit, and it was funny. He's a funny guy. Someone asked, will you sign up for a different platform? And Trump said, which one? It was reported that Trump did not sign up for these other platforms because of Jared Kushner. And that may be true. I'm not entirely sure, but I got to tell you, Trump at some point needs to figure out that other websites exist. At this point, I can only assume I don't think Trump is a stupid guy. I think Trump is, what's the right word? A bit sporadic. You know, he's headstrong. But I think ultimately he may move sporadically. It's probably the best way to put it. But I don't think he's dumb. I think he's very successful because he knows how to make certain things work. He's also fairly powerful, and power attracts power, so that helps out too. But he's certainly listening to really dumb people. And that's a shame. And because of that, he is being led astray. Trump's voice was silenced by this censorship. And the best thing he can do is ask Facebook to bring him back. Are you kidding me? Right now, I shouldn't say Facebook, but Twitter and YouTube are engaging in censorship of anybody trying to talk about what was going on with the election and with January 6th. Recently, Steven Crowder was suspended. You may have heard this last night. He was temporarily suspended on Twitter after he put out a video where he sent people to voter addresses and found empty parking lots. I've not independently verified any of his claims, so you can go check out what he has to say about what's going on with him. I'm more focused on the censorship aspect. But we also have more news pertaining to Ford Fisher. Matt Taibbi tweets, here we go again. More true raw footage shot by independent journalists removed by YouTube. Ford Fisher, a journalist, had his video from January 6th that was licensed by the New York Times taken down as deceptive. He says, Ford responded to Matt Taibbi, as if they're trying to make the same talking point available every time they do this, the New York Times licensed and published from me the exact footage that YouTube says is spam, deceptive practices, and scams when I filmed it. He says the New York Times used the exact same clips that YouTube removed in their piece. But YouTube removed it as spam, deceptive practices, and scams. We also have this video from the Lotus Eaters podcast, the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, which is Carl Benjamin. You may know him as Sargon of Akkad. He had this video from February 10th taken down because he referenced the Time magazine shadow campaign article. I believe that's why. The censorship on these big tech platforms is only getting worse. Many of you may know that recently I was smeared by the Poynter Institute because they tried claiming, they used weasel words to make it seem like I claimed the election was rigged because I also referenced the Time magazine article. Well, other outlets have corrected the record and point out I didn't. I was just snarkily referencing Time magazine. But the big tech companies, Twitter specifically, locked my tweet, put a claim saying that my claim was disputed. It's literally not disputed. Even the Birdwatch users, Twitter's own platform, responding are saying it's not misleading. So who is disputing my tweet about Time magazine? Nobody. It's a false statement of fact. These big tech companies are getting away with it. And I got to tell you, I am upset with Donald Trump specifically because if there is one person who can drop the hammer like Thor charging up in the sky and slamming it on the ground, it would be Donald Trump. He need only sign up for Gab and then post, "I'm back, baby." And then boom, like a nuclear bomb, figuratively, people would leave many of these platforms and go straight to Gab. And not only that, all of these big tech companies, all these media companies, and all of these whiny activist journalists who are obsessed with writing about Trump, they have nothing else to write about, would be forced to cover and follow him on Gab. But he doesn't do it. He just goes crawling back to Facebook and says, "Can I please have my platform back?" You're Donald effing Trump, bro. Go on Gab already. Go on Parler. Go on Minds. Create a BitChute account and upload a video. He won't do it. Makes me think he just doesn't care. Because anybody who is sufficiently concerned about being censored would simply Google search, "Where can I post a message?" Trump could literally make his own platform right now. Do that. Get rich off it. Call it Trumpster. Do that. He won't do it. He does nothing. The other day, actually, I think I might have a tweet. Let me see if I have a tweet. Here we go. From Matthew Iglesias. "Haters gonna hate, but Elon Musk should go buy some other big city newspaper and run it. Would be great for society for, quote, I own a daily newspaper, to be the new conspicuous consumption." Matthew Iglesias is referencing this snippet from the Washington Post. They say, "Tesla did not respond to repeated requests for comment. In response to emails seeking comment, Musk replied only, quote, 'Give my regards to your puppet master.' It's hilarious. Haha, bravo, Elon Musk." I'm a fan of Elon Musk. I think he's rad. I think Tesla's awesome. SpaceX is awesome. But how are you going to be the second richest guy on the planet and you don't just put $1 million into a news outlet to start producing and countering the fake news? How are you going to sit back and not put $5 million into a decentralized social network platform or open source software? Why is it incumbent upon us to have to keep having these conversations? Why is it befalling upon me, some dude who complains on the internet, to be thinking about and focusing on these problems? Now, mind you, let me tell you something. I'm actually in conversations with developers about what we can do to create decentralized, open source social networking software. You'll have your own website, but they'll all link with each other. So this will create a pseudo Twitter. It's not one platform. It's just when someone posts, it appears somewhere on everyone else's website. So you can see the feed and you can follow people. That's the kind of idea I'm working on, because then it's a database. Nobody can be banned from it. Maybe, you know what? Put it on the blockchain. I don't know. I kind of don't like that idea because you should be able to delete past posts you don't like. Here's my point with all of this. Matthew Iglesias goes on to say, if you're like a single billionaire, you might need to economize with a small paper. But Musk has Chicago Tribune money. 90% of the work can be good journalism to build an audience. Then 10% can be used to puff your ego or torment your enemies. I don't like that last part. I get the point he's making. But let me just ask y'all something. Donald Trump is a billionaire. I think his net worth is was it 3.2 or 2.3 billion? It went down quite a bit. It was like 7 before he became president. And now he's facing serious setbacks. I got to mention, too, I think Mike Lindell is also a millionaire. Come on. Elon, how much money do you really need to combat the lies from the media, to combat the manipulation from these big tech platforms? Now, I get it. Going up against big tech, that's expensive. That's where Donald Trump can come in. He can snap his fingers and sign up for Gab or Parler or Minds or whatever, and boom. I say Gab because they're building their own infrastructure. They'll probably need an investment if Trump did sign up, because the influx of users would probably crash their servers. Why won't Trump do it? Why won't Trump do it? Why won't Elon Musk? Why won't Peter Thiel? I am sick and tired of hearing about these people like Elon, like Peter Thiel, like Donald Trump, who have more power than 99.9% of the people on this planet who are not solving these problems. It's like they don't really care about it. I do. That's why I keep talking about this decentralized open source software. It's why I've advocated for open source public decentralized social networks. It's why over the past several years, I've repeatedly praised the Fediverse. Now, let me tell you something. I don't have the power of Elon Musk. I don't have the wealth of these individuals to snap my fingers and make this stuff happen. They do. Okay, fine. Then they won't do it. But I'll tell you what, I will. Because I'll have to do it. Because no one else will, right? It's frustrating to see Donald Trump once again begging Facebook to be back on their platform after all the abuse they've sent his way, after the flagging he got from Twitter where they called him a liar, a manipulator, and these flags were complete BS pushed on by a crony media. Bro, Elon, I am begging you, dude. You got a couple $1,000,000 lying around. I bet you do. Just be like, yo, who wants to start a news company? There are a lot of good journalists who are out of work. Why? Because they don't produce rage bait trash. It's not an easy thing to find these people. Don't get me wrong. You've got to message. You've got to vet a lot of these people, make sure they're good journalists. And I've fallen victim to this stuff, same as anybody else. Absolutely. So it is tough, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep doing what I have to do. What we're doing right here, this conversation on YouTube, this stuff I'm talking about, this is just like it's just something I started doing. And as more and more people sign up for timcast.com, and we have a ton of members who are getting exclusive podcasts and conversations, my thought isn't, which infinity pool am I going to install? I don't want an infinity pool. I don't want a flying car. What I want is functioning, honest news. I want a news website that tells the truth. I want social media that allows for legitimate conversations to occur, but more importantly, can't be shut down at any point, anywhere. That's why blockchain technology might be the most important, but that's why decentralized, node-style social media is so important. With all due respect to Minds, to Parler, to Gab, they still have weaknesses. And Gab, however, I believe is on the Fediverse, which means whatever we end up making, we can link into the Fediverse. For those that aren't familiar, it's almost like reverse, or it's like RSS. It's basically, you can follow someone at, I think that's how it works. Maybe there's someone like John at gab.com. So you go into your app, which is the Fediverse, and type in you want to follow this guy, John at gab.com, and then you'll see all their posts. There are some limitations, but that means that you can't ban the network. There's no point at which you can ban an app. Gab tried putting an app on the Play Store and they banned it, but it didn't matter because it was a clone of the Fediverse app. There's tons of them. That's the smart way to get things done. So here's what's going to happen. You're a member at timcast.com. You're watching our exclusive podcasts. Your membership, I'll tell you what it's going towards. For one, it's helping to run what we do. But I am heavily focused now. I'm having the conversations around several new technologies to deal with this. We want to create our own super chat system that I'll tell you the basis of it. Okay. You like YouTube, you like super chat. That's fine. You like Twitter. That's fine. Facebook. Great. You like uploading videos. Great. Here's what we want to do. We want to create an open source code that you can drop onto your website that does these things that you control. Then no one can ban you. Now, sure, your server hosting company might ban you. Fine. So we're doing our best, but it needs to be done. I'm tired of, with all due respect to Elon Musk, because I am a fan, bro, he's not going to just do something. So I turn to you guys. Why is it that we're not seeing Trump? I legitimately ask this. Why won't he just get on any one of these platforms? Why don't any of these ultra wealthy individuals do it? I suppose the Mercers are doing it, the billionaires who are funding apps like Parler. So, it's not like nobody's doing anything. And they get smeared heavily, but so what? If Parler works, it works, and Parler is back. A lot of people are complaining about it now. I don't care. They're like, Parler Parler got banned. They come back. They got rid of their CEO. And now they're saying, oh, Parler is bad, and they're caving in. I don't care, dude. I look, complain about it. That's fine. I want alternatives. I want platforms that are not going to be Twitter and YouTube. So I'm building my own website. Why? I think that's the solution. I think y'all should have your own websites. And I think then what we do is we decentralize everything. Instead, we get this. Trump's not only appealing to Facebook, but he's appealing to their oversight board, which grants them legitimacy. Here's the story. I should have read it, but you got me on a rant. The Facebook oversight board, which will decide whether Trump's indefinite suspension should be lifted, received an appeal on behalf of the former president arguing for his Facebook and Instagram accounts to be restored. Quote, we can confirm that a user statement has been received in the case before the oversight board concerning Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts. The spokesperson declined to comment further. They say the oversight board has received about 9,000 comments from the public on the hotly contested question of whether to allow Trump access to his Facebook and Instagram accounts. Facebook announced in January that it asked the oversight board to review its decision to suspend Trump on January 7th, the day after a group of the president's supporters stormed the Capitol. Trump's accounts on Facebook and Instagram remain suspended pending the decision. Trump's appeal was first reported by Channel 4 News in the UK. The Trump ban is the most consequential case yet for the Oversight Board, carrying far-reaching political implications for the nation. Facebook's Oversight Board launched last year, blah, blah, blah. My friends, the right, they have no organizational strength. Oh, okay, they have some. Let me show you this story from Recode from just yesterday evening. Inside the new $65 million push from progressives to compete with conservative media. It's called the Project for Good Information, and it raises big questions about the future of the information wars. What do we have on conservative media? What do we got? We got Daily Wire. They do really well on Facebook for sure. What does the left have? I don't know, like the entire mainstream media apparatus. Now, of course, leftists, progressives will be like, that's not the real left, Tim. Sure, but they're the institutional left, okay? And often these progressives line up giddily behind them to give in to whatever they want. Voting for Joe Biden, then complaining that the migrant camps are back for kids. Well, Trump shut those down. Congratulations. You voted for the guy who brought them back. Bravo. Progressives are putting $65 million into competing with conservative media. And we can't get any one of these individuals who wants to complain about the fake news and censorship to put in $65 million to push back. Okay, I know, Parler, I guess. Gab, they're working on it. The issue is, Elon, bro, sign up for a different social media platform. If Elon Musk went to Parler, they would be forced to cover it. Now, I know. All of you are saying, bro, Tim, you got millions of followers. You got 800,000 or whatever on Twitter and several million on YouTube. Why aren't you doing it? I auto-sync my content from YouTube to these other platforms. And to be completely honest, we are moving and trying to focus on building up timcast.com. So trust me when I say I'm in the process. As for Twitter, I'll say, actually, you know what? You're right. Which is why I no longer say Twitter directly on the IRL podcast. When I say follow me on either Parler, Minds, or other social media. And I do use Twitter and I do tweet. The issue here is, you're right, and it's true. I should absolutely be focusing on using other platforms. The challenge for me, though, the media doesn't care what I have to say. I don't have tweets of consequence. Elon Musk does. Donald Trump especially. The one person who has Mjolnir, the hammer, they can slam it in the ground is Donald Trump. Make it easier for everybody, Trump. And just go over to Parler or Gab and say, hey, I'm here. Just do that. And then you know what? We can start using it more. I've posted a little bit to Parler. I'm trying to post more. I auto-sync my content on a ton of other platforms outside of YouTube. So it's not so much that I'm focused on YouTube as a platform. No, I'm focused on all of the different outlets. So my videos sync on BitChute, on Minds, and on Odyssey, which is basically library. And a ton of people watch me on those platforms as well. And the IRL podcast bonus segments or members only segments appear on timcast.com. And you can go to timcast.com to watch the latest podcast episodes. We are trying to build this. And let me just stress, had I $1 billion, this would be a lot easier. I would snap my fingers and say, we're just going to do it. Ideally, we want to exist on all platforms. I'm not advocating for the end of Twitter. I'm advocating for competition so that there are other platforms. And what will happen is Twitter will be forced to stop the mass censorship and the false statements and defaming people because people can choose to go to other places. Here's the problem. I've long said Twitter is the LA Coliseum, this big stadium. I always say LA Coliseum because I've actually been there on the field. It was fun. And Parler and Gab are like high school football fields. Now, by all means, go play football at, Parkson Community High or whatever. You can. But the president isn't there. And the people who are there are a bunch of, young people and locals. And while you may have a good time and have good conversations, you're not going to be listening to the president. Over at the LA Coliseum, Donald Trump is in this stadium talking to everybody in this massive arena. They kicked Trump out. And now everyone's standing around talking to each other, and there's still a lot of people there. If Trump walks over to the community high school and starts talking, people are going to leave the Coliseum and start jamming into the community high school. You get the point I'm trying to make? Trump really is the one that holds the main key, but so does Elon Musk. So do many of these high-profile individuals the media can't help but cover when they tweet. Musk doesn't have the same power as Trump. Trump really does have that power, and he just need do it. Many Republicans have joined Parler, so my respect. But I'll tell you this. The more people watch my content, the more they become members at timcast.com, the more I am going to be focusing on dealing with these problems for two reasons. First, let me be real with y'all. I don't want to get banned. I don't want to get censored or lied or smeared by these outlets. And so we need a robust infrastructure to counter this. When Poynter wrote fake news, misleading people about what I said, I'll show you. Poynter wrote this. They said, Twitter flagged a post from controversial YouTuber Tim Pool that said the U.S. election was rigged. No, it didn't. In fact, the tweet literally said it wasn't rigged. It was fortified. But they don't tell you that. They just manipulate. They're lying. The reason I can say they're lying is because another outlet corrected this, saying Tim Pool did not say this. He was referencing Time Magazine. That's right, I was. And I was being pretty, condescending of Time Magazine for what they said. I'm sick of it. Poynter is the one who grants people, the IFCN, which is basically Poynter. They determine who's allowed to fact check on Facebook. Great. I want to start my own fact checking organization so I can fact check Poynter and give them a big old red X for false. And I would, because it is misleading content. But so long as Poynter holds the keys determining who is allowed to fact check on Facebook, no one will go after them. So who watches the Watchmen? Here's what we need. Decentralized social media. Gab has that. Trump, get on Gab already. We also need fair and honest media. Elon, dump some money into it. Who's going to do it? Nobody, I guess. Not even those with massive power. I want to make something very, very clear. I don't expect Elon Musk to try and focus on doing something like this. And I can understand that, how do you vet someone to do good journalism? It's almost impossible. So maybe all he really can do is say, I don't know, man. Because if Elon funded something like my operation, which I would not accept, to be honest, then people would complain that he was funding, partisan media or something like that. But maybe that's the only real answer, is that while I may have my biases, and of course I'm not perfect, you just need more powerful institutions to challenge the mainstream media and their lies. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Elon Musk criticized them, saying, give my regards to your puppet master. Bro, you and Elon Musk are competing for the richest people in the world. Why don't you do the same thing? Like what Matthew Iglesias said. Get on it, brother. Hope he's watching something like this, Elon, because I think you're rad, and I'm super excited for Starlink. So I mean no disrespect when I say I don't know what your situation is, but presumably it may be simplistic to say you have the ability or the power to do so. But if Jeff Bezos is doing it and you're not, and you're upset with what his outlet is saying to you, let me tell you something. When Elon Musk told the Washington Post to give his regards to their puppet master, he was talking about Jeff Bezos. Guess who's the richest person in the world? I believe it's Bezos. And the second person is Elon Musk. So Elon, buy a newspaper or start your own. We'll see how things play out. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see y'all then.